A new Controller 01 production. A New Railway. Written and told by David Birch. Thomas stood in the yard at Crovinsgate, the workstation for the Fat Controllers Railway on Sodor. He had been sent there for repairs. Percy and Toby were keeping the branch line running while he was there, but he wished he was there to help them. But an engine has to keep himself in good condition, was what his driver told him. Thomas mused the phrase over. True, he decided at last. I don't know what the Fat Controller would do without engines like me. Just then his crew came. We've been asked to take a special, his driver told him. The station master's received a message from a gentleman a few miles southeast of here. He's expecting a delivery of trucks and materials for an important project. What sort of project? Asked Thomas. You'll see, said the driver, and he and the fireman climbed into his cab. When he had steam up, Thomas set off to find the trucks. He found them in the goods siding. He was then coupled up, and he set off. A mile down the line, he came to a junction. A signalman saw them, and switched the points direct into a disused piece of line. Thomas set off again. The line ran partly up a hill, and he felt the drag of his heavy trucks behind him. Thomas struggled on, but he made it to the top. Phew, he remarked. Hope it's not always this hard to climb. A few miles further on, Thomas reached a station under construction. He left some of the trucks and carried on. At another station, he left a few more. Then he came to a junction. This station was rather large, with a line running behind a hill to his left. He saw a workman there laying down some tracks. After leaving a few more there, he only had 4 trucks left. He then trundled under a road bridge, rounded a curve, passed a signal box, and came into another station. Now this station was almost complete. It had 2 platforms, both connected by a footbridge, sidings that were mostly full of trucks and coaches under repair, and a half-built engine shed, with scaffolding alongside one of the walls. Thomas puffed closer to the platform. He saw a workman putting up the station name. It was painted dark green with white letters which spelt out Oakham Road. Not a bad job, wouldn't you say? A voice spoke. Thomas blinked, and then he looked to his right. Standing on the line opposite him stood a small, dark green tank engine, with a shape which looked a little similar to his own. He had 4 small wheels, short-sided water tanks on each side, and a small cab and coal bunker. "Hello," said Thomas. "Who are you?" "My owner calls me Tom," the engine replied. "I take it you're Thomas. My owner's told me all about you." Thomas was rather surprised by this. "How did you know who I was?" he asked. "Oh, that's quite simple," Tom replied. "There's only one blue tank engine on this island." "Why haven't I seen you before?" asked Thomas. "Well, I've only just come," said Tom, "from the other railway in the south of England." Then Tom started asking Thomas what was it like running his own branch line, and Thomas began telling him about the work he gets and how he shares it with Percy, Toby, Mavis, Daisy and Bertie. "Have you ever worked on the branch line?" Thomas asked. "Not really," Tom answered. "I mostly worked at the harbour in Southampton. I was taken out of service many years ago, until a kind young man came. The dock authorities have allowed me to purchase you," he told me. "How would you like to come and work on a line which is now in preservation?" Of course I accepted almost immediately. And here I am. And here is where I've been ever since. Thomas was fascinated. "I used to be like that," he said. "When I was young, I was bought out of my old railway company to help build the railway on this island." And Thomas was just beginning to tell Tom about his early days when a man in a brown jacket came up to them. "It's time for you to return to the works," he told Thomas. "The workmen are ready for you now." "Goodbye, Tom," said Thomas. "I hope your line is as successful as my branch line." "Oh, it will be, said Tom. "Thank you for coming here, Thomas. Goodbye." And he watched Thomas puff away back down the line to the works. A few days later, Thomas was back at Farquhar and telling Percy and Toby about Tom and the new line. "Sounds very interesting," said Toby. "You could say that again," said Percy enviously. "One of these days I would love to go there and run on it." "Oh, I'm sure we'll be allowed to visit it one day," assured Thomas. "It's good enough for a nice long run, and it's steeped in character." "I hope it will be successful," he said to himself. "I really do." And with that, he drifted happily off to sleep in the nice warm afternoon sun.